Hey guys, so in 2009 I had this massive spiritual awakening experience where I kind of went into this shift into 5D, into fourth density, see my previous video, where I started to experience like euphoria, ecstasy, bliss. Everything turned like vivid green, vivid blue. All the colors became much more visceral, much more vibrant, much more colorful. I kind of went through this shift into HD, which is really 4D or 5D, fourth density, fifth dimensional reality. And I believe I had a contact experience at that time that I don't remember. So this is a long story. I've had these experiences since, particularly in 2018, where I also had this missing time experience, where I did remember, I did begin to recall afterwards that I went on this flying saucer or this ET craft with like 2.5 foot tall ladybug being, this Mayan being with a space helmet on, and my Yahyel counterpart who had a towel over his head so I couldn't see him. So you maybe heard me talk about this. But in 2009 I believe I had the same experience, but I don't remember anything. But I recognize the energy and the shift into fourth density and this awakening experience that it instills in you. And I suspected I'd had like this missing time right at the peak of the experience. 2 days later, around 2 days later, I went back to that forest location and had a very powerful telepathic communication experience with the ETs. As I was driving up to the forest, I heard in my head very vividly, just like this, if I do the best like version of it, they said, "Good morning, good morning." And it instilled such a powerful level of joy in me that it really blew my mind. It was a level of joy that was very similar to the previous experience, a little easier to remember because it wasn't quite so mind-blowing. And I remember I started crying just to know that it was possible to experience so much joy, such an intense level of joy, like not just for me, but for like other humans, like you know, because like generally people are kind of depressed and anxious and like not so high vibe on this earth. And it was just mind-blowing for me to know that it was possible not only for myself to experience that, because I'd never experienced anything near this level of joy and ecstasy, and just to know that it was possible just made me cry, and to know that it was possible for other humans. This is where we're going, guys. This is why this is important, so we can get everyone on earth experiencing fourth density, fifth dimensional bliss. And so they said this, the first thing they said was kind of good morning, and then I went a bit deeper into the forest. I parked up my car, got out, cried a bit. I think I cried first, so maybe there was another communication before or after, I don't remember exactly. But they kind of said, they kind of greeted me again. I don't remember the exact transference. I do remember parts of it though. It was what happened like. So I'll explain it. I'm not going to tell you everything that came up because it's like deeply personal stuff, and I will explain why all my deeply personal stuff came up. So what happened was it kind of initiated a deeper aspect of my consciousness, and I began to communicate with them telepathically. However, it wasn't coming from my mind. It wasn't my thoughts. I couldn't choose like with my thoughts what I wanted to communicate. It came deeply out my unconscious, deeply out my subconscious. It was kind of like my deepest subconscious insecurities about myself bubbled to the surface. And so they said kind of like good morning or something like this again, and then it like bubbled up out of me. So Bashar, channeled by Darryl Anchor, he always says like telepathy, as he calls it, telepathy, not telepathy, telepathy, because it issues from the heart. Telepathy issues from the heart, therefore it's telepathy. It's an empathic connection. So we actually communicate from our hearts when we communicate telepathically. It's very, very different. Like reality is very, very different to what we were taught at school, guys. And so what I experienced during this communication was they said to me like we started speaking again, and it's just totally inside me. I kind of heard it in my head. I remember it's just like it's clear as day. It's just like speaking to someone on the street, except it feels more real. I remember afterwards, like this is what I was telling everyone. They were like, "Are you sure it was real?" And I said it's more real because it's like you awaken in this experience. You enter into these higher dimensions, like this fourth density, fifth dimensional bliss consciousness, and it feels like the normal human state is kind of delusional, kind of a dream, kind of like really like almost like we're hypnotized and sleepwalking, which is kind of exactly what is going on. And so we communicated, and what happened, it was like I involuntarily spoke like my deepest subconscious insecurities to them telepathically, and I remember it like bubbled up out of my, through my chakras, out my gut, through like my solar plexus and into my heart chakra, and then it's kind of like it bubbled out of my mouth, but I don't think I said anything physically, but that's what it felt like. It bubbled up through my chakras into my heart chakra, like these subconscious fears, like from my, like connected to my root chakras. It like bubbled up and it like resonated through my heart, and it came through my heart and through my throat chakra, and like I guess into my heart, my third eye and the higher chakras, and I communicated like telepathically. Like I won't share what it is now because, like I say, it was deeply personal, but it's just really interesting how it came from the heart. And it's like we all have this completely different consciousness, like what our mind is. Like our mind is not who we are. Like you've probably heard a lot of spiritual teachers like say this, like a lot of people still believe that they are the thoughts in the head, and they identify as the thoughts in the head, but they're just thoughts in your head. Then they're just picked up from society. They're just thoughts and like static and like noise and beliefs that you've picked up from society. This is all the thoughts in your head are, but they're nothing to do with who you are. Of course they're part of you, but they're no more part of you than your little finger, you know. And so who we truly are on a soul level is more connected to our heart, and it's completely like a different level of consciousness. And this is, we begin to enter into this as we begin to channel, we begin to like awaken spiritually, and you can practice this yourself. Like next time you're in a conversation with someone, it's good if you've got like a romantic partner to practice with us. And this would be a great exercise for partners, to like actually speak from your heart. Like don't speak from your head. Like next time someone asks you a question, if you've got someone you feel comfortable practicing this with, like don't answer it like just spontaneously, like all the nonsense that comes straight to your head. Like put your hand over your heart and feel what your heart wants to say. And you can kind of feel it, like you can kind of feel it, and it tend to feel uncomfortable because it's usually very emotional, very deep, very revealing about your deepest, darkest shadow and all stuff like this. But it's a lot more truthful and a lot more real. So you can practice this. Actually put your hand over your heart, feel into your heart chakra, or even your physical heart, your heart's consciousness, and share what you feel your heart wants to say. And this is the beginning of telepathy. So telepathy, issues from the heart. We've actually got, our true nature is actually completely different, and this is the shift into fourth density. The shift into fourth density, the shift into the fifth dimension, is moving from the mind consciousness, the 3D kind of fear-based fight or flight nonsense that we receive, that is just beliefs we pick up from other people in society. It's got nothing to do with reality, really. And it's a shift into the heart's consciousness, where we know the infinite truth of being, the infinite truth of creation, like our real truth, like who we are as souls. And so this is the shift into fourth density. This is the shift into the fifth dimension. It's the shift into heart-oriented consciousness, and it's a completely different consciousness. The heart has its own intelligence. The heart is actually intelligent, and we know this from people who have had heart transplants and then can speak the language that they didn't know previously of the person they got the heart transplant from. There's even stories of someone that had a heart transplant from who was murdered, that the person they got the heart from was murdered, and the person who had the heart transplant suddenly started seeing visions of the person that killed them, and the police were able to solve the case because the person that received the transplant knew what had happened because he was connected to the heart's intelligence and the heart's wisdom. And there's many stories like this. And so this is the shift into 4D, this is the shift into 5D, it's the shift into the intelligence of the heart. It's really the leaving behind of the intelligence of the mind. Perhaps we can still use it, you know, for like doing our tax return and like deciding what nails we need to use when we're putting up a fence. I don't know, perhaps it still has some place, the physical mind, but it's going to have a very limited place as we move into fourth density, fifth dimensional reality. So this is telepathy. This is how telepathy works. And if you want to begin to understand telepathy and begin to communicate telepathically, and we've had some really good experiences in my channeling classes where I think I was using the Ankh image, and I was actually able to telepathically transfer, like there's a group of like 5 people and 2 people, but no, 6 or 7 people in the group, and maybe 8, 9, I don't know, but 2 people in the group actually received the telepathic communication because we managed to like sync up with heart consciousness. And so if you want to learn to to communicate telepathically and learn to activate your like fourth density, fifth dimensional self. It's really about tuning into the frequency of the heart and always speaking from the heart. And when you do this, you'll begin to experience telepathy. And I've heard like a few people like suddenly I'll hear it in my head like auditorily. But and I'll ask them, I'll like saying, is this something that's on your mind? And they're saying, well, yeah, like when I was living in Peru, my housemate, I suddenly heard from her that says, I want my own house. And I asked her, and she said, well, for sure, I'd like my own space. Like I think she said it's something that's been on her mind. And so yeah, and so this is the shift, guys, and this is telepathy, and this is how the ETs operate, at least the vast majority of ETs. Like, it's only really in these very low dense vibrations of reality like Earth where we have where we experience through we communicate through vocal cords. In the higher dimensions, it's all telepathic. So peace, love, light, and Shivaya.